Perfect Day at CocoCay is one of, if not the best ports to visit while on a Royal Caribbean cruise. For those that don't know, CocoCay is Royal Caribbean's private island in the Bahamas. There's so much to do on CocoCay, and I wanted to take a few minutes to discuss what all the island has to offer, as well as our recent trip to CocoCay. Let's start off with talking about the massive renovations that have occurred over the past 6 years. Back in 2018, when I first visited CocoCay, there was no pier, and you actually had to be shuttled from the ship to the island by smaller boats called tenders. Also, at that time, the island was heavily under construction, and besides the beaches to the left, there was not much else complete on the island. Fast forward to current day CocoCay, the island has completed all of its construction and now is complete and has so much to offer every visitor. Okay, so the day you visit CocoCay, the ship will open at about 8 a.m. And it's my recommendation that you don't wait long to get off the boat in order to get the prime seats at one of the many beaches or at the massive pool, which is called Oasis Lagoon. On our visit, I got off the boat at 8:30 a.m. and we decided we were going to set up at South Beach for the day. And I got there at roughly 8:45 a.m. and I was able to obtain the last two chairs that were available in the first row closest to the ocean. Plenty of seats were still available, but we wanted to sit as close to the water as possible for the amazing views. When you get off at CocoCay, you'll walk down the pier, and on the way, you'll be in awe of the landscape before you, and you'll be entertained by a live band as well as live dancers that perform throughout the day. Walking to some of the locations on CocoCay can be a bit of a walk, so for your convenience, you can always opt to ride on the courtesy trams that are constantly traveling from the boat to the island and then on a continuous loop throughout the day. One of the closer beach locations that you can set up at for the day is going to be something called Chill Island. This is going to be a location that's immediately to the left when you get on the island. You'll walk over a short bridge and then you'll find three distinct coves that is actually the most popular area of CocoCay in terms of snorkeling throughout the day. Now you will see various marine life while you're snorkeling out there, but in my experience, since this area is heavily populated with people, you won't see as much due to the number of people, but also due to the fact that everybody's going to be stirring up the sand, making it cloudy underwater. So the marine life, either you can't see it or it moved on to a less populated area. Another extremely popular area of CocoCay is the massive pool that it has. It's actually called Oasis Lagoon, and it's the largest freshwater pool in all of the Caribbean. It measures at 33,175 square feet. At one end of the pool, it has something called a beach entry pool, which is where you just wade into the water. The other end of the pool has a very expansive swim-up pool bar. If you don't want to get wet in the pool, you can always walk over a small bridge that takes you to the other side of the bar where you can order drinks without getting wet. In addition to the bar, there are servers walking around taking drink orders and will deliver drinks right to your seat. The island itself is actually treated exactly as if you were on the boat. If you have a drink package on the boat, that drink package will work on the island and all drinks will be included. You actually use your CPAS card throughout the island if you need to pay for something such as ordering an alcoholic drink without the drink package, or if you go to one of the various towel stands and need to request towels, they'll use your CPAS card just as if you were on the boat. Now, one word of warning I will give is that the pool, in my experience, has always been extremely chilly. I don't know the number of times I've been to CocoCay exactly, but 100% of the time, the pool has always been on the frigid side. So just a word of warning, the surrounding coves are actually typically warmer than the pool itself. I briefly mentioned earlier that we decided to set up on South Beach for the day. This is actually one of the furthest locations to walk to, but in my opinion is probably the best beach of all the beaches on CocoCay. Getting to South Beach is actually its own little mini adventure. You actually end up entering a winding path that takes you through a jungle-like area before it finally opens up to South Beach. The area just feels more secluded as a result of having to take this path to get there. When you're on South Beach, it has all the same accommodations that the other beaches do in terms of the lounge chairs, has lifeguards, but it also has a swim-up floating bar if that is something that you were interested in. But the reason I enjoy South Beach is that not as many people snorkel in this area, so I typically will see a lot more marine life when I'm snorkeling. And to make it even better, I like to walk down further on the beach to an area past South Beach. It's actually unnamed. It's not even on the map, but I assure you it's there, and it's just an extension of the beach. And when you go down there, you'll have even fewer people snorkeling. And on this particular day, I saw a lot of marine life in terms of fish, and there was a couple of little sand sharks. They don't really bother you. They just swim around. And I actually saw a lot of stingrays on this particular day, more than I could count. They'll actually bury themselves in the sand close to the shore, which makes them kind of camouflaged and hard to see. So it is very entirely possible that you could accidentally step on one. I think they would just swim away, but you just be mindful you could accidentally step on one. It's also a good area if you want to look for unique shells. If you like to collect those, if you go to the other beaches, there's just so many people there that they're just going to be picked over. So we found that going down to the South Beach area and the area past that, you could find some cool, unique shells and collected a few of them and enjoy that. The next area I'll touch on real briefly is a quiet little cove called Harbor Beach. This is just over the bridge that was mentioned earlier in this video. And once you get across that bridge, you'll actually take an immediate right. I personally prefer to either be at the pool or one of the other beaches that look out over vast water, but this little harbor is not a bad consolation. It provides very cool views of the water park at CocoCay. It can be a favorite for those with children since it essentially is closed off and easy to keep an eye on kids that are playing in the water. I personally never spent the day at Harbor Beach. I've walked through there before, but I've always either set up at one of the other beaches or at the pool for the day. There are two designated areas that are specifically designed for children on CocoCay, and that's going to be an area called Captain Jack's and Splashaway Bay. Captain Jack's is going to be immediately in front of you when you get off the pier, so you can't miss it. Splashaway Bay is going to be next to the Oasis Lagoon pool. Splashaway Bay will be similar to what you may have on your Royal Caribbean ship, depending on which boat you're sailing on. Captain Jack's will be unique to CocoCay only. In addition to all the areas that I've spoken about so far, the island is littered with complimentary activities you can participate in. Every time I visit CocoCay, I stumble across newly discovered activities or areas I'd never noticed before. Some of the activities include basketball courts, volleyball courts, various puzzles, large chessboard, ping pong tables. They have hammocks throughout the island. And this last time I even stumbled across a small library area if you wanted to read a book. So far, all the areas that are covered in this video have been areas that you can go to and enjoy yourself all day and not incur an additional charge. Everything's complimentary. Oasis Lagoon, South Beach, the Coves, Splashaway Bay, the Pirate Place for the children. All these places talked about so far are free of charge. They're included in the cost of your cruise. Now, there are a few other activities you can partake in that do incur an additional charge. I'm not going to go into great detail into these because I personally don't ever purchase these because there's so much to do on CocoCay that I never feel the need to actually pay for additional activities or areas on the island. Some of those activities include you can do excursions. This is just like any other stop. There are excursions. I think there's one where you can actually swim with pigs. There's a few others. You know, you can rent jet skis, you can rent kayaks, you can rent snorkel gear. There's actually a straw market when you get off the boat, similar to what you might see at other ports. There's some floating cabanas. There's something called Coco Beach Club, which is kind of like an adult only area. There's the water park, which has some of the world's tallest, fastest slides in the world. You have the hot air balloon, you have landside cabana. So there are a bunch of activities that you can actually pay extra for. I've just personally never felt the need to do so because there's so much to do on the island that you really don't need to spend any extra money. So far, I've talked about all the different places and activities offered throughout Perfect Day at CocoCay. But if you're sitting poolside, on the beach, or participating in various offered activities, you'll work up quite the appetite. CocoCay has Skipper's Grill and Chill Grill, which are the complimentary buffets while on the island. These are going to be similar to what you would find in Windjammer's buffet on your ship, but also seem to add a couple of unique items for your day at CocoCay. My favorite is always the barbecue chicken that's available. You'll also find complimentary soft serve ice cream available for a snack at these locations. Another lesser known complimentary food location will be the two snack shacks located throughout CocoCay. These will have limited menu options to include burgers, chicken sandwiches, hot dogs, salads, french fries, and my favorite that very few are aware of is the funnel cake offered at both Snack Shack locations. I have on multiple occasions been walking with a funnel cake and received numerous people asking where I got that from. The big takeaway for your dining options on CocoCay is that you don't need to spend any money. You do have various complimentary food options in the form of buffet or a snack shack. And then you have complimentary drink stations with juices like teas, water, and then the ice cream machines that are located at the buffets as well. In conclusion, Perfect Day at CocoCay has gone from a forgettable location before all the renovations to an almost must-see the way it is today. If I look at booking a cruise and it does not have a stop at CocoCay, I am definitely a little bit disappointed. There's something to offer for every person, and I am confident in saying Perfect Day at CocoCay is one of, if not the best stops Royal Caribbean has in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll be providing more cruise insights on upcoming videos.